We welcome you to the hallowed ground of Atlanta Motor Speedway, the oldest track surface of 1.5 miles out there on the circuit, as it plays host to race number 3 of season 3 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Nick Massey as we get ready here for 150 laps of racing. And Nick, I'm sorry, 120 laps of racing, I should say. One thing I noticed here, Nick, I kind of expected, because this track surface is so old, that these drivers here today were going to maybe be dealing with slick conditions, but I guess because of the low downforce, they look pretty stable, so we might be in for 120 laps of multi-groove racing today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. I've raced the Cup cars here plenty of times. I've never raced an Indy car here, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning experience for me too, but definitely looking forward to seeing what the show that these guys can put on.
Now, Robert Maleska III coming into this race was 2 for 2 when starting on the pole position, but not this week. It's going to be, or I'm sorry, actually, no, he is going to actually increase it to 3 in a row, as he's going to start on the pole position. He actually, just at the last minute of qualifying, got the pole position. I didn't even see it. Thought Jimmy Drynan had the pole position, but instead he'll be on the outside of the front row. The problem right now for Robert Maleska III, he's 3 for 3 in starting on point. He hasn't yet been able to close out the deal to go to victory lane, but it's still early on in the season. We'll get through the rest of the starting lineup for today's race. Of course, 2 races in. 2 different drivers have gone to victory lane. Matt Wagner winning the season opener at Auto Club. Last week we saw an incredible pass for what was eventually the win at Iowa. That was Charles Teed, who really reaped the rewards as well, jumping up a lot of spots in the standings. I believe it was 23 spots he gained in the standings last week. And really a lot of other drivers that have struggled here in the first 2 races, Nick. I would say that this is their opportunity to be able to do the same thing. If you go to victory lane, you're going to jump up multiple spots in the points.
Yeah, I'd say these oval races on Indy cars are kind of a wild card because big wreck right off the bat, stuff like that. Anything can happen. You got to deal with lap traffic. A lot of factors at play here in these races.
Started the season out at a 2-mile speedway. Last week, a 7/8 of a mile short track here. Today, we're back speedway racing, but it's 1.5 miles in length. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's like Robert Maleska III is going to get out ahead. Eric Peterson's going to move into second. Third going to be Jimmy Drynan. It's going to be side-by-side battle. It's going to be for that 5th position between Eric Schaus, Nick DeGroot. Now they settle it out for a brief moment. Schaus trying to get that outside line going early, Nick.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that top line comes in because, typically, in the Cup cars and Xfinity cars, you can't really get it working. But I think with all the dirty air in these Indy cars, it should come into play here as the tires get a little older.
Really wide there off of 2. I think that might have been Pablo Diaz-Francis, but he's able to keep it off of the wall. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as well, with the fact that it is
3 wide back here for 5th.
And since it's an older track surface here, you got to wonder if it's really going to be abrasive on the right front, and if we're going to see a lot of drivers have difficulty with getting their cars to turn off of turns 2 and 4, especially if they're in the draft of someone and get that aero push.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if you want to, back off a little bit and save those tires a little early on the run, or if you want to just kind of push and try to make these passes well. You got everybody off the start here. Oh, we got a wreck in the back.
Caution's going to come out as it looks like it's going to be Corey Lane and Gale Brooks bringing out this caution. Another car in trouble just ahead of them. I think that's the 54 of A.J. Musselman, so at least 3. Make it now 4 cars. 6 cars here. That's Paul Jennings, Bud Steele, Gary Corley in the 7 as well. Multiple drivers involved in this one off of turn 4. Michael Spell in the 88 was also collected up in this one. And we'll go back and see what happened off of the final corner. Of course, Atlanta, much like other tracks like Charlotte and Texas, has that D-shaped front straightaway, which means it's very difficult if a wreck happens to know where cars may necessarily be spinning and which lane you have to choose in order to avoid them.
It's really slick too, so it's hard to make those adjustments when you see a car spinning down the track and try to shoot back up. It's not easy here on worn surface like this.
Let's see if we can pinpoint where the contact was. There it was, right there, right in the middle of the pack, and just nowhere for some of these guys on that outside line to go. And then as drivers turn down to the inside, drivers that were either thinking about running the inside line or the grass, they get swept up in it. And we're going to get another camera view here just to show how impossible a task it is, especially with the speeds they carry around here at Atlanta, to be able to avoid a wreck. And they were all wadded up. I mean, we had just gone green, so it wasn't as if the field had gotten themselves safely spread out.
And as you mentioned earlier, it's all it takes here on these oval tracks. You're racing guys in points, and you have one bad qualifying lap, put you back there in the pack, and just like that, your day's done.
Some drivers may have already here as early as lap 5 had to utilize their fast repair. Looks like drivers of Corey Lane, Todd Schneider, AJ Musselman, Michael Spell, Jeffrey Duncan, and Dale Brooks. I believe they all used their fast repair already. Gary Corley in the 7. He, I believe, did not use his fast repair, but he lost a lap as a result. And also a driver that missed the start, last year's Indianapolis 500 winner, Craig Forsyth. He's right now on track, but 3 laps down, so he's obviously hoping for a couple more cautions to maybe get a free pass and get back onto the lead lap.
Good news is it's still really early, so you got plenty of time to recover.
So we got an opportunity here, short though it was, to see what these drivers were going to be doing in their approach to this racetrack. And, we saw a couple of drivers venture up there, try that outside line, but I think you already touched on this. It's a longer way around the racetrack, and it's just kind of looking like either more rubber has to be laid down up there, or that second lane, it's just not viable.
Yeah, I would think with the track being as green as it is, it's probably going to wear the tires more up there, but maybe, being on the bottom with all this dirty air, it's just making the cars that tight. You're making these guys venture up there a little bit, get out of dirty air, and maybe it's even saving the tires getting out of dirty air.
Our 2 previous winners are currently up inside of the top 10. Charles Teed is going to be 4th when we go back green. Matt Wagner in 9th. Robert Maleska the 3rd. He's the race leader. Eric Peterson in 2nd. Jimmy Drynan in 3rd. We already mentioned Teed in 4th. Nick DeGroot, the defending champion, in 5th. Eric Schaus right now is 6th. Pablo Francis in 7th. Oscar Gonzalez 8th. We mentioned Wagner in 9th. And Benjamin Combs right now completing the top 10. Wagner, the last couple of weeks, went from an all-time high to an all-time low. He, of course, won the season opener at Auto Club, but then he got involved in a wreck last week at Iowa, dropped 4 spots in the standings as a result. The points coming into this race, though, still very, very close. There's less than 20 points separating the top 11 in the standings. So a driver, even as early as this season, could really, if they are able to go to victory lane here with the points as close as they are, could find themselves in the championship battle, weeks from now, just based on the performance they have today. Looking to see about other drivers that were on pit road there under this caution period. Looks like David Leclerc, Krista Nelson, they were on pit road. I believe they just topped off the fuel tank because I didn't see them involved in the wreck. They'll be restarting back in 23rd and 24th, but the top 22 have not come to pit road yet since the drop of the green flag. And speaking of the green flag, it's back in the air here on lap 8.
And a good jump for the 91 there in that start. Put those guys back there a little bit.
Robert Maleska the 3rd, as mentioned, this is his 3rd straight pole position, but the finishes haven't just quite been there as he finds himself 11th in the standings. Battle's going to be for the 2nd spot. Eric Peterson under fire. Jimmy Drynan wants that 2nd position. He's got the shorter way around the track here out of turn 4, edges ahead, but Peterson did hold at least alongside for a little bit of 3 and 4. Had to give up the spot eventually off of the final corner.
You see Jimmy going for the lead here, too.
Yeah, they got a
quite
big
the run up there,
did
too.
the 94 and the 36. Gracious. Drynan trying that top side to see if it will work. And they can get alongside, but it just seems like from the center of the corner off is where that outside line, that second groove, loses its momentum. At a group of 4 back here, from the 4th position back to 7th. It's where you find Nick DeGroot, Charles Teed, Eric Schaus, and Pablo Francis. And of course, Charles Teed coming off his victory at Iowa last week, riding a huge momentum wave right now and trying to see if he can go back-to-back at both Iowa and here at Atlanta. That would undoubtedly give him the points lead. One driver that is missing from our field here tonight, and this is actually, I think, going to play dividends into the point standings as a battle for the lead and a lead exchange. Jimmy Drynan now moves to the front for the first time, but George Anzaldo, who came into this race second in points, only 5 points back, he's not in the field here tonight. So no doubt we're going to end up seeing that 6 machine, unfortunately, drop a couple of spots in the standings and have to try and recover next week when we get to Road America.
Yeah, good battles going on all around the track here. Battle for the lead. We got as you mentioned, a battle back there for 4th, and then a pack shortly after them for about 9th to 10th. So we got pack racing all over the place over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt Wagner, Benjamin Combs, AJ Hobson, Covey Moore, and Nicholas Winook in this group of 5 that you alluded to. Then you got another group behind them. Actually, you've got Alexander Van de Sant. He's actually by himself. Then you've got the group of 4 behind him. Victor Santos, who was a big player in last week's race at Iowa, was one of the drivers kind of off the pit sequence, led quite a bit of that race also. Jim Brooks, Dylan Mouskowitz, and Joe McAdory in this. It's about to actually turn into what was 2 groups of 5. It's about to become one big group of about 10, 11 cars here from 15th on back. Now, we ended up talking to a couple. Oh, we got a car on the wall back there. I think that might have possibly been Joe McAdory, and he is falling back through the field. And I'd be a little worried about that. I mean, obviously, in these Indy cars, the suspension is exposed, and you get up and make contact. He's actually up on the wall again there in turn 2. You make contact with that machine, that's going to be damage that you're probably going to have to come to pit road and get repaired. And he's up on the wall again. So something's definitely wrong on the 4 machine.
Yeah, he smacked the wall pretty good there off of turn 4, and definitely probably knocked the toe out of that thing. Way off the pace.
Yeah, he's pulling you can see he's pulling the wheel to the left, just trying to get the thing to turn. It's like it wants to go straight. When it goes in the corner again, you see it drift up there in the middle of 1 and 2. So I think he might be trying to get to pit road. He kind of got blocked out of pit road entrance that last time around. We'll see if he dives down to the inside here out of 4 to come to pit lane. And no, he's not going to yet, as wow, again, rides really wide off the corner, almost to the outside wall. And one thing we do know these drivers are going to be dealing with here today, they're going to be having to come to pit road just about every 30 to 35 laps as Jimmy Drynan gets tight, almost up into Robert Maliska III, who'll take the lead. And as they get longer into this fuel run here, Nick, we know that these drivers are going to have to be dealing with the back end of their race cars wanting to come around on them.
Yeah, you can see a couple of these guys are getting a little squirrely already here, getting tight and loose. And Jimmy's in the wall a little bit there in the 3. Hopefully, it didn't hurt his car too much there. We'll see. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how these cars handle. As the run goes on, who's been pushing the car. As the fuel runs out, as you mentioned, it's probably gonna get a little bit loose. We'll see who's been taking care of their stuff here.
I'm worried about too here, you guys. Well, the banking off of turn 4 and then the flat apron to get onto pit road. I mean, if you get to the end of a fuel run and your car is loose, you're going to have to make sure that thing stays straight when you eventually do hit pit road for a potential green flag pit stop. Because if you spin it around onto pit road, there's not a guarantee that a caution is going to come out and save you. So that's a lot of track position lost. Contact for 3rd as Jimmy Drynan gets put up into the wall, and now he's going to have to come down, and he hits the inside wall as well. Caution's going to fly for that as Jimmy Drynan, contact between himself and I think it was Eric Patterson for 3rd place. And the 94, who started on the outside of the front row, all torn up. Go back and see what happened. We saw the contact over in turn 1. But then it was like Drynen's car just hooked to the left and then nailed the inside wall. And you talked about knocking out the toe. That might have been what was the case here with the 94.
Yeah, it looked like it. He just could not turn that thing back to the right. Pablo had to make a little bit of an evasive maneuver there to barely miss him coming through. But luckily nobody else was involved in that. Just single car incident. So good job, keeping it down there.
It's a lot of
And
cars
holding the brake.
scattering there. And I think you're absolutely right. When we just saw it there from that camera angle, we're actually going to go inside the cockpit of the 94. And I think to your point, we're going to see that he's not even turning that car to the left. The car itself is turning to the left, and he might actually be turning to the right, trying to fight the wheel here. Let's see. He's trying to straighten the thing out. You see he's counter steering it to the right, and the car just will not turn. So, boy, the high speeds they're carrying here, the impact that they receive, even with just going up and scrubbing the outside wall, we're seeing the end result. Drivers really having their hands full because the car has a mind of its own after it's received some damage.
Yeah, that's one thing about these open wheel cars, they put on a great show, fun racing, but you make a little bit of contact and that could potentially end your day. And we saw that right there. Well, he has the fast repair, but just a little bit of contact and the car is pretty much destroyed and undrivable.
Eric Schaus is going to be the leader when we go back green. Now, Robert Maleska III, with being the pole sitter, had the number 1 pit stall. His pit stop even was faster than Eric Schaus. If you took the time on pit road combined between Schaus and Maleska III, Maleska's got him by 0.2, but it was the 72 winning the battle off pit road, so he'll be getting us back underway with the 91 lined up second. Eric Peterson, Nick DeGroot, and Pablo Francis going to be the top 5. Driver that gets the lucky dog under this caution, I believe, is going to be the 7 of Gary Corley. So we're going to have 30 drivers on the lead lap when we go back green. And that 94 of Jimmy Drynen, because he had to teleport to pit road, losing a lot of laps here. A guy that looked like he could very well have been one to battle for the victory here today. Going to have a long road to climb here. Currently scored 3 laps down.
Yeah, definitely going to be, especially with guys already laps down, it's definitely going to be a tough hole to climb out of there for the 94. One thing I did look back on, Eric actually did get the lead there right before the yellow came out. He had the lead by like half a car length. I did not realize that. So he was actually the first car on the pit road.
Oh, okay. I did not see that either. Was more focused on what was happening there with the 94, so that would explain his ability to get the lead coming off of pit lane over Maleska III. Like we got a couple of drivers, 3 drivers in fact, that are going to be taking the wave around here. Looks like Craig Forsyth, Michael Spell, and Bud Steele. They are all going to be taking a wave around here since they are ahead of the race leader. This will put all 3 of them 2 laps down. So essentially these 3 are going to be battling to see who's going to be the first one to be 1 lap down if we get another caution in terms of a lucky dog. So 24 laps in, working our second caution of the day. Got quite a number of torn up race cars already. A couple of drivers actually coming back down pit road here with this 1 to green signal. Gail Brooks and AJ Musselman. We know Gail Brooks got a piece of the wreck back on lap 4. AJ Musselman, I believe he has not been involved in a wreck. He might be just topping off the fuel tank here as everybody here now is going to be basically racing until somewhere around lap 70, where is the furthest they'll be able to go on what they've got in the tank. No, correction, it would actually be lap 60 before they would have to think about potentially making a green flag pit stop, but up to this point they haven't had to yet.
I'll be interested to see if that does come into play here, because, like as you mentioned, getting on a pit road in these Indy cars being so low, it's quite the task, especially when when everybody's flying by at 190. It's tough to get that thing woed down, stay out of trouble. and not get a penalty for speeding.
Eric Schaus going to bring us to the green flag. Schaus coming into this race 6th in the point standings. He does have one top 5 on the season. Whoa, was there contact back there maybe for 6th place? It was really close between the teammates there, the 22 of Francis and the 11 of Gonzalez.
Yeah, these guys are trying to get all they can get here on these starts because it's when everybody's bunched up and get a lot of guys. It's time to get it done.
Crossover move here. This is a battle for 8th between Benjamin Combs and last week's winner, Charles Teed. And something that I noticed here when we had that slightly longer green flag run, Nick, was drivers that try the inside line really are having an issue with pushing up. That's what led to the contact between Eric Peterson and Jimmy Drynan for that last caution. So that might be the equalization for that second lane. The fact that you run the inside line too long, you're going to be having to deal with your car not wanting to turn going into the corner.
Hey, you might be right, especially with all that dirty air running a little bit back in the pack. It might be tough for these guys to hold the bottom line. Most of the guys running down there might have to venture up to the top, get a little bit of clean air on the nose, help that thing turn.
Looking at the bright yellow number 1 of Nick DeGroot, the defending champion. Struggled in the season opener at Auto Club, did fairly better last week at Iowa, but gained 9 spots in the standings that only brought him up to 14th in points. So he's continuing to try and work his way up, and he's thinking maybe about 3 wide for the lead here as Schaus looks drivers right, sees the 91 of Robert Maleska III.
You see DeGroot peeking way up there, way up the hill. Try to get some clean air on that nose, get a run off the corner. Oh, Eric got a little loose out of turn 2 right there. Might cost him second.
He's stacked up from 5th place on back, as right now it's a 4-horse race for the top position. You add in the 11 of Oscar Gonzalez. He's just at the tail end of this group as Maleska III to the point. DeGroot crowding the 72, and he's up into the wall, up into the catch fence. Caution for the 3rd time today.
Contact with the 72 Eric Strauss, it looked like.
And DeGroot flipping and barrel rolling, and that car will not come back to rest on his wheels, forcing him to have to take a tow. The defending champion, and it's the 2nd straight wreck we've had, Nick, up inside of the top 5.
Yeah, just, incidental contact. Cars are, a little jumpy, especially coming out of that trial oval, like you mentioned, that's the toughest part of the track, probably. Just contact out of that second little dog leg, and up in the wall he went. You see the 21 of Brandon, I don't even know how to say his last name, Pasalakwa, go right under him. They're very fortunate for the 21 there.
And it was hard to tell from that camera angle if DeGroot may have come down a little bit, if Schaus may have come up a little bit. It may have been a combination of both. We're going to try and see if we can find you a camera angle that you can maybe be able to judge it for yourself. But there's no doubt there was contact. Speaking of contact, looks like the 99 of Matt Wagner might have actually gotten into the wall off of turn 4 as well. So we'll keep tabs on that.
And all these guys back here did a great job of slowing down, giving everybody time to avoid the wreck. And fortunately, it was only a 1-car incident.
Yeah, that's really been impressive here with these last 2 wrecks as well, is that it's been single-car incidents. Jimmy Drynan was the only one that wrecked on the back straightaway for our 2nd yellow, and Nick DeGroot, the only one wrecked here, despite the fact that he was barrel rolling over in turns 1 and 2. These drivers have done a great job with wrecks up at the front of the field of not making it be a multi-car wreck. Taking another look here at the contact, and you're right. You hit it right on the head with the fact that you've got this crooked front straightaway. Different drivers are going to have different entries, especially into turn 1 off that final left turn on the front straightaway. So I think that you can chalk it up to typical Atlanta just based on the contact we saw there. Really no fault of either driver. They just had a specific line that they were wanting to run for a specific entry into turn 1. Unfortunately, they both wanted the same piece of real estate.
Yeah, all it takes is, one guy thinking one guy's going to run a foot lower, a foot higher, whatever. And especially with these cars, just a little bit of contact, and around he went.
So another driver That's running well in the point standings, dealing with some early issues here as Nick DeGroot currently 2 laps down, still on pit road, waiting for his tow to complete before he will undoubtedly have to use his fast repair. This caution is going to actually put Jimmy Drynan 1 lap down as the free pass machine. He was, along with Bud Steele, Michael Spell, and Craig Forsyth, 2 laps down. We went back green, so the guy that was on the outside of the front row and inside of the top 5 with his wreck, 1 more caution, he would be back on the lead lap. Still waiting for the lights to go out atop the pace car. It'll be Maleska the third, the leader, Eric Schaus in second, Oscar Gonzalez third, fourth, Eric Peterson, fifth, Pablo Francis, then Benjamin Combs, Matt Wagner, Covey Moore, Charles Teed, and Victor Santos going to be that top 10. And I'm a little bit concerned about that 99 of Matt Wagner. We were more focused on the contact between the 72 and the 1 going into turn 1, but we did see on that 1 replay camera angle that he got up there and smacked the right side of his machine pretty good into that safer barrier that juts out of turn 4. So depending on how long this next run is when we get the green flag, might be something to keep an eye on here on this restart to see if he's either up to speed or at least able to have the car handling the way he wants it. Lights are going to go out this time, so we will go back green flag racing. Up to this point, these drivers have not had to concern themselves with green flag pit stops. They've also really, for the most part, not had to deal with loose race cars. We know they're going to have the emptier that fuel tanks gets. It really seemed like more so these drivers have been dealing with tight conditions here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And the thing that kind of worries me is they're going to get themselves into a mindset of knowing what they have to do when that car gets tight. But then, as they're kind of adjusting for that, then they're not going to be ready for when the car gets loose longer into a green flag run. So it's kind of a catch-22 for these guys, I think.
Yeah, and I think what are we, about a one-stop territory race from here if it goes green the whole way, I believe. No, I think it's still a 2-stop race. Take that back.
Yeah, I think it is still a 2-stopper. Yeah, at least a 2-stopper for these guys. Because they've been out there 12 laps so far. And, yeah, they would have to make at least 2 more pit stops to be able to make it to the end. Green flag back in the air for Robert Maleska III. He gets a great jump over Eric Schaus, but then Schaus has a pretty good gap back to Oscar Gonzalez. But as we've seen at these 1.5 and 2-mile speedways, if you get too good of a jump, then the car behind you is going to be able to use the draft down the straightaway to reel you in. And you can see right there, the gap visibly is closing for the race lead as they're side by side for 4th place.
It's going to be interesting to see how much damage the 72 of Strauss has. Because, I mean, he had pretty significant contact with Nick DeGroot there. And he didn't come down pit road to get anything fixed, so see if that car is hurt or not. Right now, he's about to go for the lead, so it looks like it's all right so far.
Yep, right now it looks like he has still as fast a race car as he did in the beginning stages of this race. Pushes up a little bit there, though, in turn 4. He is going to edge ahead at the start-finish line and lead that lap. We'll see if he can clear Maleska III going to turn 1. Indeed he does. That's going to bring Oscar Gonzalez, Eric Peterson, and Pablo Francis now in the mix. Also add the 77 of Benjamin Combs. We had a car on the apron, if you will, down below the white line off of turn 2 with Victor Santos looking to take the position away from Matt Wagner. Now, that white line is not out of bounds for these drivers. That merely shows them where the apron starts and where the track ends. So not surprised to see some drivers, if they're able to get a run, going down there. And it is looking like that 99 machine of Matt Wagner, while he is still up in the 8th position, he's not able to really get that car down to the inside line. As a matter of fact, way up the track, they're off of turn 4.
Yeah, again, we got a couple packs going on here. Good racing all around. It's been interesting so far, though. So far, there's been, we've had wrecks happen up front, wrecks happen in the back. There seems to be no true safe spot tonight except pit road. So, I don't know where I'd want to be right now if I were out here running. I guess in the lead, but even tonight, that's shown not to be too safe.
I would have to think that at least if you're out in front, you've got the clean air on the nose, so you're not having to really deal with the tightness. But problem is holding the race lead, because we saw Robert Maleska III edge ahead on the top side. He still, I think, might be clear now, as he did have the advantage over Eric Schaus going into turn 3, but we saw Schaus take the race lead back, and now we've got Oscar Gonzalez there in the 11, who may have been close to a first-name basis with the outside wall, moving into the second spot. Now he has thoughts of going to the top.
And you see the 91 trying to straddle both lanes there, try to keep dirty air on both of them. We'll see if he's able to keep that up, though. It's a tough task, trying to block both lanes.
And now it's going to be Pablo Francis diving it deep into turn 3. He'll get around Schaus for third. Now gets alongside of Oscar Gonzalez for second. Can't quite make the move there. Gonzalez will hold the position for the moment. And you still have this group of 6 up here at the front, and they've opened up quite a gap back to 6th, or back that 7th place Victor Santos. There is a full second between 6th place Benjamin Combs and that 7th place machine. If these guys continue to just kind of ride single file like this, they might be able to pull away from the rest of the field by a big margin.
And you see, none of the leaders are really running the bottom there. In turn 3 and 4, they were all running middle to top, so it's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's the preferred line right now, or are they just kind of, is the leader just trying to block them, keep dirty air on their nose?
I'm wondering, maybe the least abrasive lane on that right front. I mean, if you run down there on the bottom, it's going to heat up that right front a lot. Might be a little bit more of a conservative line in terms of tire wear to run up in that middle to higher groove. These drivers are about 13 laps away from when they would be in the window of having to think about making pit stops, as that was the first time I saw Maleska get really high off of turn 4. It's going to cost him too. He's going to have some teammates behind him working together to reel him in. Gonzalez in the 11, Francis in the 22, as, oh boy, that 91 almost got the wall off of 2 that time.
Yeah, he's flirting with it, and you can only keep that up for so long until you end up hitting it. I wonder if he's just, worn the right front off the thing, driving a little too hard, or if he's just trying to play a little conservative right now.
Well, this is, I believe, the furthest that these drivers have gone on a run with their tires, 24 laps currently, so they're starting to maybe feel that loose sensation that we know they were going to, as the fuel tank starts to get lighter and lighter in the back end of the race car, and maybe that's why we're seeing him almost get into the wall off of these corners. As Gonzalez with a nice run off of turn 4, looking to carry that momentum into turn 1, but instead he'll follow in the tire tracks, now a half groove lower, now diamonds it low off the turn, trying to get that run down the back straightaway. Still, those top 6 have pulled away, another 6 drivers behind them in that second group. And an update on Nick DeGroot. He has returned back to the racetrack, but currently is running 34th, last in the field, 2 laps down.
Battle for second now as Pablo dives it down low, trying to go for the lead here too. Just, it's tough to make it work on that bottom for what it seems like. You can get side by side with them, but the top side ends up getting the momentum off.
Oscar Gonzalez, he's been really good here at the start of the season, 9th in points. His teammate, on the other hand, Pablo Francis, has hit quite a stall out in the first 2 races, currently 29th in points. And he is going to go to the point. Well, maybe not. Maleska III battles back on the top side. The 2 of them were dead even in turn 2. Then Francis edged ahead off exit, and now Maleska on the top side trying to take the spot back. Who's going to lead the lap this time? Looks like it will be the 91. Drop back a little bit further in the field, and some drivers that are running well in the point standings struggling here today. Dale Brooks in the 71 came into this race 8th in points. We know that he was involved in the wreck back on lap 4. Still on the lead lap, however, and still a long ways to go. Another driver running well in the point standings is the 24 of Victor Santos, right now holding down the 7th spot. And then the 3 of Dylan Moskowitz, who had a comeback run last week, got involved in an early wreck back on, I think it was lap 30 of that Iowa race, and used the rest of that event to be able to work his way back up through the field for a decent performance. As he got loose there off of turn 4, he was running in 13th. He's now about to drop back to the 15th spot after that bobble.
And just watching these guys, you can tell they're, sorry to interrupt, watching these guys, you can tell the cars are starting to get, tight on the bottom. They can't, it's hard to make it work down there. Just the tires going away, the times are starting to fall off. They're off the pace by, a couple tenths of a second here.
And we're really, at the moment, now starting to see that outside line have a little bit more of an advantage. Robert Maleska III been running the third groove here at Atlanta, and it's been working for him to keep Gonzalez and Francis at bay, which now says to me that since we've kind of equaled out the lanes and these drivers have figured out that the inside line is where to go early, the outside line is where to go on the long run, pit road is going to play a huge factor now. These drivers have yet to make a green flag pit stop, and with the speed that these drivers are carrying, 200 miles per hour into the corner, maintaining it all the way through to the exit of the corner, coming to pit road and getting that thing down to pit road speed, that is going to be quite a task for these drivers, and they're about 2 to 3 laps away from having to do just that.
And the other key is not getting ran over, making that, slowing down to 55 miles an hour. Oh, yellow.
Oh, caution. I think we were just about to have the 91 on pit road, but Jimmy Drynan has spun it around. I think that's over in turn 3. Caution is going to fly for the 4th time today, so that just saved everybody, at least for this point in time, of having to worry about coming to pit road. But I'm pretty sure that 91, he was just about to hit the pit lane. That was actually over in turn 1, the incident with Robbie Drynan. Make that Jimmy Drynan, rather. And we'll see if there was contact or if he just loses the race car. Oh, there was definitely contact there. To the outside of someone, and they pushed up and into him. That's the second time that Jimmy Drynan has been to the outside of a race car here today and been pushed up into the outside wall. Right on board here with the 94 machine. Just absolutely no warning whatsoever that the car that he's trying to pass is going to push up in the corner. We'll see if we can identify the car as well, and it looks like it could have possibly been the 74 of Paul Jennings that pushed up into the 94 of Jimmy Drynan, who is going to have to come back down pit road. Drynan was in position to get the lucky dog that would have put him back on the lead lap, but because he was involved in this wreck, looks like it might be the 27 of Craig Forsyth who would get the free pass under this caution, putting him to -1.
Yeah, Jimmy's car's pretty killed. You see him crab walking, trying to limp it back to pit road here. Become pretty familiar with this turn 1, turn 2 wall so far this race, unfortunately.
Definitely has. Second time that he's been sent up into the outside wall over in turn 1. As no surprise, everybody was just mere laps away from coming to pit road. I'm absolutely certain that Robert Maleska III pulled down to the inside into 3, was planning to come to pit road that time. So everybody was on pit road here, and some of these drivers that were thinking about taking the wave around, I think they're going to have to come to pit road here too, as they'd be really close on fuel. But Maleska III was able to win the battle off of pit road. Oscar Gonzalez, Pablo Francis, Eric Schaus, and Matt Wagner follow him out in the top 5. Then it's Combs, Kobe Moore, Eric Peterson, Teed, and DeSant. That's going to be the top 10 when we go back green. There's a couple of drivers back here, and just based on the fact that we've seen a lot of our wrecks, 2 of the 4 up inside of the top 5. Some of these guys back here that we haven't talked about kind of have to keep an eye on here, because they might not have overplayed their hand just yet and shown what they can bring to the table. I'm looking at that 50 of David Leclerc, the 33 of Nicholas Winook, 76 of Jim Brooks, and the 63 of AJ Hobson, because they've been consistently up inside the top 15. They just haven't yet cracked the top 10.
And you got a couple of guys up there, the 77 of Benjamin Combs and the 15 at Covey Moore. Moving up there, they started 13th and 14th, up to 6th and 7th. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do with this better track position here on this restart, and how these guys are going to play differently, knowing what the car is going to do in the longer run. Now, are some of these guys going to be more conservative, in case you get a longer run, or are they going to, approach it the same way and just kind of go 100% here and try to get what they can?
And both Combs and Moore have come into this race really, really needing a good run. More so for Moore than for Combs. Combs currently 15th in the standings, but Covey Moore finds himself all the way down 31st in points. He has really struggled here in the first two races of the season, and looking to see if he can at least get his first top 10 finish of the year. Of course, all these drivers here wanting to go to victory lane, most of them for the first time this season. For two of them, in Wagner and Teed, they're trying to get their second win of the season. And we see in the IndyCar series, when we get down to the end of the season, a lot of times if a driver is consistent through the first 2/3 of the season, the championship may be decided before we even get to the season finale. So if you're going to have yourself in the hunt for the championship, really to gain the most maximum spots possible, the win early is key.
It's always nice to get that win or two early in the season, and then not really coast the rest of the season, but you don't have to push as hard and try harder for those points as some of these other guys would.
Looked like I might have gotten our lucky dog driver incorrect. Actually, it looks like Michael Spell in the 88 was the recipient of the lucky dog here under this caution, as the green flag back in the air, and we have now officially hit the halfway point of tonight's race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, as Maleska III gets us back underway in that battle for second. Three cars: Gonzalez, Francis, and Schaus. Now, will they battle amongst themselves, or will they all three try to work to reel in that 91? Looks like the battle will be for second place. Gonzalez trying to take advantage of those fresh tires on the inside line. Noses ahead for the brief moment. Actually, that's Francis on the inside line taking the spot. Gonzalez drops back to third, and here comes Matt Wagner in that 99. He's won the only Speedway race so far this season at Auto Club, now looking to try and go 2 for 2, but this time in Atlanta, as way up the track there was Gonzalez. Not sure if he made contact with the outside wall or not, but if he did, you probably couldn't have fit a sheet of paper between his right side Firestones and that outside safer barrier.
Yeah, it was close, almost disastrous there for Gonzalez. That would have not been good for his day so far. He's been running top 5, but almost costly mistake right there.
Francis is on the move. He got around Gonzalez for second. He just cleared Maleska III for the lead, but Maleska III says not so fast. He jumps up to the outside line, trying to take that race lead back. I think, though, he's going to have to give up the spot, at least for the moment, because those fresh tires are going to grip the inside line. But we get about 10, 15 laps into this run, we're going to start to see that second groove gain the advantage back again.
And then being side by side is probably going to bring the 72 of Schaus right to him. So it'll be interesting to see what line he goes with, inside or the top.
Right now running that inside line through 1 and 2. Lets it ride wide off the corner to get that straightaway speed. But as he's watching this battle for the race lead, Oscar Gonzalez now on his back bumper, trying to take that third spot. Matt Wagner trying to get up in the vicinity as well. And not only this battling going on here at the front, if we drop back just outside of the second half of the top 10, you've got a lot of cars in the same zip code. Charles Teed, Covey Moore, Alexander Desant, Eric Peterson, Victor Santos, Dylan Mauskowitz. I mean, right now, just about everybody up each other's gearboxes. Very little room for error for these guys. And as we get longer into a run, we're going to see these drivers start to deal with the loose conditions on the top, the tight conditions on the bottom, so we may not be done with seeing some cautions just yet.
Yeah, I think it's
still. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I think as this, his race passes the halfway point here, these guys are gonna start driving a little harder, trying to get those spots. I think we're. Oh, I was gonna say, I think
caution.
we're far from done getting cautions. And there's one right now.
Jim Herrick over in turns 1 and 2, going to bring out the 5th caution of the day. First time that we've mentioned him tonight, and unfortunately, it's a torn up 57 machine as the whole front wing is gone. That was actually over in turn 3 that Jim Herrick had his issue. He'd been running on the lead lap all night so far, but a lot of damage sustained there, and I believe this is going to put the 9 of Bud Steele, the lucky dog, back on the lead lap. We'll see what happened over here into turn 3. Looks like it was some contact that took place heading into that third corner. Very close racing there. Couldn't quite tell who the car was that made contact with him, and then there was another car that hit him afterwards. And I'm not certain if that driver sustained damage or not. Try and figure out who the driver was first off that made the contact with 57.
Looks like the 7 at Gary Corley. Looks like a little bit of netcode might have played a little bit of a factor in that too there. Good old netcode.
Who it was. And we'll see if we can figure out the driver that avoided barely, and it looked like it might have been one of the lap machines. It was Joe McAdory who actually made a slight bit of contact there when Jim Herrick was sliding back down the racetrack. Now, I'm not certain if contact indeed was made or not. We'll actually go on board with that 4 machine to get an idea if he actually was saved by that little bit of warp that takes place there when a car is wrecking or not. Following the 4 into turn 3, there you see Herrick into the wall, comes back down the track, and oh yeah, there was definitely contact there to the right front wing on McAdory's machine, drawing him to pit road, which I believe at the time was closed, but because of that hit, McAdory nonetheless biting the bullet, coming down pit lane to the attention of his crew. And we've had some split strategy here, Nick, in terms of some drivers coming down, but some drivers not willing to give up that track position.
Yeah, you got the 22 of Francis that stayed out. 91 came down. 72 came down, and a couple other takers there. So, see where they're restarting. Be interesting to see what's going to pay off here: the tires or the track position.
It's like we've got a total of 9 drivers who stayed out under this caution. Francis the leader, Gonzalez second, Wagner, Combs, Jim Brooks now up to 5th with staying out. AJ Hobson's up to 6th. Brandon Pasalaqua, he is in 7th. Josh Garner, who hasn't been to pit road since all the way back on lap 48. He's out in 8th place. And then the freshest tires behind them is going to be that number 91 of Robert Maleska III in 9th place. And Maleska III has been running up inside of the top 3 pretty much this entire race. He's led the most laps today after starting on the pole. It's going to be interesting to watch him try and work his way through traffic, because to him today, traffic has really only been maybe 1 or 2 cars max.
Yeah, he hasn't been, that buried this far back yet. So we'll see how this plays out. If it were me, I'm always favoring the 4-tire call, but being buried back in the pack is a little bit risky. All it takes is one guy to up, you're involved in a wreck. But I think these tires might end up working for him if you get a longer run.
We're going to have to wait and see, as we're going to be less than 50 laps to go when we do get the green flag. We're still waiting for the iRacing pace car to give us the indication that we are getting ready to go back green flag racing. Indeed, the number 9 of Bud Steele was the recipient of the lucky dog, so he will be back on the lead lap. 28 drivers will be on the lead lap. Joe McAdory that we saw get that damage from that wreck, along with Jim Herrick, who took the hard lick up into turn 3. They are 1 lap down apiece. Nick DeGroot still 2 laps down, along with Craig Forsyth and Michael Spell. And Jimmy Drynan still sits on pit road after he's been up into the outside wall not once but twice during the course of this race. He's currently scored in the 34th position, but still in this race. So all 34 cars currently, according to scoring, are still in this race. No one has DNF'd yet, but currently only 28 of them in the hunt for this win as things stand right now, currently on the lead lap.
Yeah, the one car, Nick DeGroot, seems to still have good pace. It's just the cautions haven't gone his way so far with it being able to get the lucky dog or the wave around.
I think the thing that really hurt DeGroot, I think he did use a fast repair, so his car would be up to speed the same way that it was at the drop of the green flag to start this race, but because he had to tow back to pit road since his car was upside down after his wreck, cost him all those laps. So he's hoping that we see some more cautions here to get those laps back. Is the defending champion, as it will be officially 49 laps to go here at Atlanta. And Pablo Francis gets us back underway, but keep an eye back there on that red 91 of Robert Maleska III. Let's see how quickly he's able to cut his way through traffic. Like things got really split up there. Top 5 all breaking away from Francis back to the 5th place running Jim Brooks. Behind them of Hobson, Schaus, Pasaliqua, Josh Garner, and there you see the 91 down on the bottom. That is the pole sitter, Robert Maleska III, currently in the 10th position.
You saw 72 Eric Schaus almost take it 3 wide there in a 3, trying to make his way back up there on these fresh tires. He decided to back out of it though.
You talk about drivers that are struggling here at the beginning of the season. Brandon Pasaliqua there in that 21 is another driver that fits that bill. Currently finds himself 25th in points after 2 races. And now it is going to be 3 wide, Nick, as that 72 finally made it stick. Whoa, he got awfully close there, though, to the left front of Pasaliqua. And up on the top side there, that's A.J. Hobson in the 63. He almost got put up into the wall off of 4. Caution's out. It's Bud Steele in the 35, barrel rolling off of turn 4 and onto the front straightaway. He had just gotten the lucky dog. Joe McAdory involved as well. At least a 2-car incident off of turn 4, bringing out the caution for the 6th time here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It looks like these two actually made contact before they even got to turn 4. This looked like it was in the middle of 3 and 4. That's McAdory on the bottom, Steele on the top, and that 4-car just never turned, just went straight up into Bud Steele, and there you see the impact up and into the catch fence. Actually went above the catch fence, did Bud Steele, and much like DeGroot had earlier, hurdles over onto his roof, having to call a tow, and as we mentioned, the driver that just got the lucky dog under the last caution now going to find himself multiple laps down again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. He just dug himself out of that hole, got back on the lead lap, and right back in the same spot he was, about 40 laps ago, maybe 50 laps ago. But that's the second or third time we've seen that tonight, I believe. Just that inside, car on the inside just pushes up a little bit, gets in the car on the outside, and the car on the outside that usually ends up paying the bigger price, but this time it was both of them.
I thought that maybe under this caution we would see everybody that stayed out under the 5th yellow come to pit road this time. However, that's not the case. We've got 6 drivers that elected not to come down pit road, or actually make that 5 drivers elected not to come down pit road again this time, including Francis, Gonzalez, Wagner, Brooks. They are the top 4, as well as the 12 of Josh Garner, who right now is holding down the 7th position, as looks like Jim Herrick, who brought out the last caution, he's going to get the free pass under this one, so he'll be back on the lead lap, giving us 28 drivers still on the lead lap, and we do have officially now our first retiree out of the race. Joe McAdory has taken his car back to the garage area, currently scored in 33rd. Not certain the 94 of Jimmy Drynan's going to be able to get back out there. If he can, he might be able to take that 33rd position away from Joe McAdory, but as things stand right now, it looks like McAdory will get 33rd place in tonight's finishing results. And as I'm looking at it here, most of these drivers, obviously, they all want to win, but I think in terms of making sure that you get points, all of these drivers want to finish at least inside of the top 24, because if you're inside the top 24, you get anywhere from 50 points to 6 points. If you finish outside of the top 24, all you're going to get is 5 points. And, there's been 30 plus cars in the field each week, 36 at Auto Club, 35 last week at Iowa, and 34 in the field here tonight. So, we're talking about anywhere from 10 to 12 drivers that are leaving these races with only getting the minimalist 5 points, which is certainly not going to help you in your road of trying to climb up in the point standings.
Yeah, just one bad week, where you get, 6 points or no points. It's especially when all your competitors are up there getting, max like 50, 40, whatever. It's a tough hole to climb out of, especially, if you have maybe 2 bad races or something like that. It's a tough uphill climb.
Now, just an update on the battle for the lucky dog position. No driver is in line, should a caution come out, to be back on the lead lap. We have 3 cars 2 laps down. Craig Forsyth, who missed the start, Nick DeGroot, and Michael Spell. They are 2 laps down apiece, so they will be battling amongst themselves to be who's going to be the lone driver 1 lap down should we get another caution. Right now, we currently have 28 drivers on the lead lap. Craig Forsyth, Jim Herrick, as I mentioned, got the lucky dog under the last caution. And we actually had a couple of drivers come down and top off the fuel tank here as well with 1 lap to green. Gale Brooks in the 71, AJ Musselman in the 54. We're going to be going back green with, it looks like, somewhere in the vicinity of about 41 laps to go. We know that about the furthest they can go is 35 laps, and if we get enough cautions here, some of these guys might be able to save some fuel under pacing and may be able to make it the rest of the way without having to come to pit road again. That's not the case for the top 4, but some of those other guys back there, that might have been their last pit stop of the day.
Yeah, it could kind of be in the play of the race there, coming down top off. If this goes green the rest of the way, this restart's going to be interesting though, because what it does is it allows the 72 of Schaus and the 91 and all those guys who took tires to get re-racked here. Top 4 have, I believe, like 6 to 10 lap older tires than these guys, so it allows them to re-rack it a little closer, get another shot at them.
Yeah, right now you're right. The 72 is the highest up on fresh tires, and there you see taking advantage of them as he dives to the inside of Jim Brooks for 4th place, trying to make these passes as quickly as possible to get up there to race leader Pablo Francis. Maleska the 3rd, on the other hand, again, not exactly the best of restarts here, as he dropped back in that 6th position, now trying to reel in the top 5, but looks like his main source of competition currently would be that bright pink, green, and blue number 72 of Eric Schaus, who's thinking about making another move here. I thought it was going to be 3 wide. Instead, it's going to be side by side for 3rd place between himself and the 99 of Matt Wagner.
Let me tell you, there's no worse feeling than being, position of the 11 or the 99, and fresh tires are coming behind you, and you're just doing all you can to hold them off.
Eric Schaus finished 2nd in the season opener at Auto Club. Last week, not the best of runs, finished 15th, but that brings him into this race, currently 6th in the point stands and trying to work his way now up into the top 5 in the stands. But look at the run that 91 got on him to the inside, heading into turn 1. That's the battle for 4th place, and more importantly, again, that is the battle between drivers on the freshest tires currently.
Yeah, 72 of Schaus got pushed up a little bit, 3 and 4, had to get out of the gas, and that cost him, looks like it's going to cost him 2 spots here. He was up to 3rd.
And now the teammates are going to battle for the race lead again. Francis being reeled in by Oscar Gonzalez. Oh, we got a wreck in the back there. That's going to be Kristen Nelson in the 13. Caution is going to fly for the 7th time today. This time it's over in turn 4. Looks like a couple of other drivers might have gotten some pieces of this. The 86 of Todd Schneider. Looks like he is slow as he had to come to pit road. Oh, yeah, the whole rear wing, front wing completely gone on the 86.
Yeah, it looks like quite some bad netcode there between the, who is it, Kristen Nelson and the 18 of, looks like quite, yeah, it looks like pretty bad netcode. There's a couple feet in between those 2 cars, and her car just bounced.
Take a look and see what
Unfortunate.
happened. A couple of drivers came to a stop to avoid the wreck, but I don't think they were involved. The 74 of Paul Jennings and the 32 of Jeffrey Duncan, I think they were able to snake through this. As take a look at the wreck. Oh, yeah, you're right. There was space there. Comes down and clips another race car. Oh, wow. Actually, there were a few drivers that actually did get pieces of that wreck there. And trying to figure out who they were. I think one of those might have been the 27 of Craig Forsyth. Might have been another lap machine involved in that one, too. We'll see if we can pinpoint who that was, because there were about 3 drivers that slid into the 13 of Krista Nelson. It's like the other driver may have been the 54. No, it was not the 54.
Took the 27, the 86, and the 33.
See if we can find out if it was indeed the 33 of Nicholas Winook. Oh, it doesn't look like it was him. Oh, actually, I think it might have been. No, I think the other car that I saw was the 86 that we had already established was in the wreck of Todd Schneider. Yeah, here it was right here. It looks like he was trying to come to a stop. Craig Forsyth just was not able to slow up in time, and there you see just the whole back end, front end completely ripped off of Schneider, and looks like he has called it an evening. He has brought his machine to the garage area along with the 9 of Bud Steele. They will join Joe McAdory in the garage area, and we're starting to see here now as we get into the 50 lap to go vicinity, the garage area is starting to pile up. But remember we talked about AJ Musselman when he came down pit road there under the last caution to top off the fuel tank? Well, everybody came down pit road under this caution except for the 54. He is now the new race leader. Like Jim Herrick and the 57 also stayed out after getting the lucky dog under the last caution. So he is going to be lined up second. Everybody else, though, was on pit road. Pablo Francis, Oscar Gonzalez, Robert Maliska III. That's going to be the completion of the top 5. Actually, check that. Matt Wagner is going to be 5th. Maliska III will be 6th with Schaus, Brooks, Josh Garner, and Victor Santos completing the top 10. So that strategy definitely working out for the 12 machine of Josh Garner, who makes, I think it's only his 2nd pit stop of the day here. And the driver that got the lucky dog under that caution looks like it was the one of Nick DeGroot. So he is going to be, or I'm sorry, actually it's going to be Michael Spell got the lucky dog under that caution. And with everybody coming down pit road, Nick DeGroot was able to take the wave around. So now he and Michael Spell, they will battle for the lucky dog position to get back in the lead lap here on this next restart.
As you mentioned, we'll see how long the 57 and 54 maybe hold off these fresh tires here. But it might work out for them. You know, you stay out, get a couple of quick yellows, get that track position established, and you might end up with a solid finish here.
Yeah, right now, the difference of tires between AJ Musselman and 3rd place Pablo Francis is 8 laps. So it's really going to come down to, I think, for the 54, number 1, how good of a gap he can get here on this restart. And number 2, how long it will take, how many number of laps it will take before his tires and the 22's tires even out. We saw when Pablo Francis was the race leader how it didn't really look like even the fresh tires of Eric Schaus and Robert Maleska III were able to quickly work their way through the field. They had to take it one car at a time, and that allowed Francis to hold on to the race lead up until that caution. So AJ Musselman, depending on this restart, if everything goes right, and if we manage to go green to the end as well, could very well have the strategy that could win him his first race of the season. But we're about to find out if it was the right call. Pace car is going to make the left-hand turn to pit road. Green flag is going to come out. We're entering into the 30 lap to go vicinity as it's 32 to go at the line.
And AJ got a pretty big jump here. We'll see how that affects the run that Herrick and Francis are going to get on him here with the draft. Might have put him in a tough spot.
Francis in the 22 was the leader prior to that caution coming out. He's trying to get second place away from Jim Herrick. Behind them, Matt Wagner trying to hold off Robert Maleska III, who has been very committed to that second group pretty much the entirety of this race. He's back up there again, trying to crack back into the top 5. There's a wad behind them, though. Jim Brooks, Charles Teed, Covey Moore, Josh Garner, Victor Santos, and Dylan Mauskowitz. Maybe 6 drivers, but it looks like maybe 12 drivers in this group because they're racing side by side for 3 rows deep. Nearly contact there between the 15 and the 5.
Yeah, these guys are racing for every spot they can get back there. Side by side, a couple rows deep.
Yeah, while they're racing, they might be losing touch with that lead group, which we just saw in exchange for second place. Francis dives to the inside of Jim Herrick, going to take the position. Herrick now under fire from the 11 of Gonzalez, and now AJ Musselman looks back in his rearview mirror. That 22 is getting bigger and bigger.
They see the 22 trying to take a wider entry here and then kind of arc it down to get out of that dirty air.
Whoa, 57 really pushed up there in 3 and 4. Nearly took the nose off the 11 of Oscar Gonzalez, who was able to back off enough to give him room to gather it up. Now he's going to go by for that position, but man, that was a handful of race car for Jim Herrick over in the final couple of corners.
He almost took about 3 guys with him into the fence too, just because of the dirty air.
And I think we might have had an issue with the 76 of Jim Brooks. Oh yeah, he's got a problem. 76 way off the pace. He's going to get clipped by the 36. Big wreck on the front straightaway.
Huge wreck, flipping through the grass. Couple cars.
Brooks continues to flip. 36 of Eric Peterson up against the outside wall. The second car you talked about flipping in the grass was the 18 of Jeff Hysong.
Looks like a lap prior to this, they were 3 wide going into 1. A little bit of contact between the 76 of Jim Brooks, 24 Victor Santos, and that might have damaged Jim's car. Kind of put everybody in that position coming off of 4.
Because he was running up there just outside of the top 10 at the time that I looked at him, and all of a sudden saw him free falling outside the top 15. We're going to go back here. There you see that contact between the 76 and the 54. Then comes down, makes a little bit more contact with, I think that was the 12 of Josh Garner. And he knew he was in trouble at this point. He goes down to the inside line. He might have actually been trying to get to pit road, perhaps. Eric Peterson behind him, not getting that memo, actually goes way down to the bottom, back up the track, and completely clobbers the 18 and the 76. Wild ride through the grass for both Hysong and Brooks. Brooks comes back to rest on all 4 wheels. Hysong, on the other hand, he remains upside down heading over to turn 1. High voltage wreck for both these drivers, and it's going to send the 76 of Jim Brooks to the garage area. And man, Jim Brooks, who had a great performance in the season finale last season at Indianapolis, this has not been the start to the season he has looked for, as he's still searching for a top 10. Currently finds himself coming into this race 17th in points, and he will free fall probably outside of the top 20 3 races in.
Yeah, hard hits for a lot of these guys, and when wrecks happen that quick and you're coming in at 220, it's hard for these guys back there to get woed down and miss these wrecks. So quite a few cars involved right there.
With this caution coming out, I do believe, we're going to wait for confirmation here, but I do believe this is going to put the defending champion Nick DeGroot back on the lead lap. He was the first car 1 lap down. No, incorrect. It actually is the 88 of Michael Spell who got the lucky dog. So DeGroot going to have to wait for another caution, maybe get himself back on the lead lap. With Michael Spell back in lead lap, 24 drivers will be on the same lap as the leader. And also a correction, Jim Brooks might have actually fallen out of the server and then returned, because he is actually back onto the racetrack in that machine, albeit 2 laps down in 27th. So still only 3 drivers officially out, Schneider, Steele, and McAdory. So AJ Musselman, he rolled the strategy. He got to be out in front for quite a good portion of that run. However, he then decided to bring it down pit road. He's going to restart in the 19th position, giving the race lead back over to Pablo Francis. And at this point, Nick, it looks like everybody that was on pit road 11 laps ago, as well as the drivers that just came to pit road now, fuel is not going to be a concern for them anymore. They should be able to make it the rest of the way on what they've got in the tank. So we've seen some aggressive racing all the way through the field. It's led to some high wrecks, and I have a feeling that we really haven't seen anything yet, because if there was any give and take in the first 2/3 of this race, it's going to be all take here from here on out.
Oh yeah, I'm sure these guys are gonna be driving for all they can get here on this start. Coming down the end of this thing. It's unfortunate. I think AJ had to pit for fuel. That's why he had to come down. Because he was holding them off on those tires. I was kind of surprised he was able to keep them back there that long. I thought they were gonna, just kind of put them in a hole there, take them 3 wide, but did a good job holding them off.
If the lights go out atop the pace car this time, which they will, we're going to be going back green flag racing with 22 laps to go, closing in to the 20-lap marker. It's Pablo Francis showing the way. Oscar Gonzalez now second. Jim Herrick is actually I think it's actually Eric Schaus that is third. Nope, it is Herrick in third place. And he is on 20-lap older tires than everybody else around him. Eric Schaus trying to save some fuel, it looks like, there on the apron. Will be restarting fourth. Robert Maleska III will be fifth. Then it's Matt Wagner, Victor Santos, Charles T., Josh Garner, and Kobe Moore. That will be the top 10 we go back green flag racing. And, I look at drivers last week gaining multiple spots in the standings. Charles T. with his win up 23. Oscar Gonzalez up 18. Nick DeGroot up 9. A lot of drivers made good on poor performances at Auto Club, countering them with good runs last week at Iowa. And I look at that the 22, the race leader of Pablo Francis coming into this race, 29th in points. You got to wonder how many spots he would be able to jump in the point standings going into next week's race at Road America, should he close out the deal here today, as the green flag back in the air. Francis trying to get a gap here before they get to the back straightaway.
I see the top 2 really get a good jump on these guys up there. The 2, I believe they're team cars. Interesting to see how they race each other here coming down to the end. Whether you want to race your teammate hard or kind of want to take it easy and try and get a gap.
They may not have to worry about it, because 2 of the other faster cars of the day now have moved into third and fourth. Maleska III battling with Eric Schaus. And now, how about that 24, Victor Santos? Talked about him being out in front for quite a bit of last week's race at Iowa, but fuel strategy hurting him in the closing stages. He's now cracked the top 5. That bright yellow machine, he might be a factor in this one late.
Yeah, he's dicing through these guys right now. Eric's on a little bit older tires. See if he's able to make some moves here. Maybe get himself in position to take a shot at the lead.
And Herrick was awfully wide there off of turn 4 on those older tires, trying to hold his position, but at the same time, I think trying to make sure he's not a roadblock for the fresher Firestones behind him. Matt Wagner in the 99, our winner from 2 weeks ago, now diving it to the inside as, close there. Santos trying to get that right front wing to the inside of Eric Schaus, pushed up off of 4, could not make the move. And how about this? You talked about, do they race each other, or does one maybe defend for the other? Looks like the battle between the teammates may be on into turn 3.
Oh,
caution. Brandon Pasalaqua on pit road, and looks like Corey Lane in the 10 has had an issue up in turn 2. Jeffrey Duncan in the 32 has been involved as well. And I think this is going to start to be a running theme here, too, with cautions breeding cautions late in this race. Drivers in close proximity on restarts, fighting for every position they can get. And it looks like Duncan might have actually gotten involved in an aftermath of this wreck, as we'll see what happened to the 10 machine heading into turn 1. Oh, yeah, contact there. I believe that might have possibly been the 71 of Gale Brooks that got up into him, and just nowhere for the 32 of Jeffrey Duncan to go, as he was pretty much committed to that third line all the way through 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looks like the 71 might have caught a little bit of the apron there, got a little loose, and just washed up into the 10 there.
Corey Lane and Jeffrey Duncan have done a great job today, staying on the lead lap for the entirety, but both of them now sustaining quite a bit of damage. We're going to go on board here with the 32 of Jeffrey Duncan. See just up ahead, there is the 10 up into the outside wall and just nowhere to go. Man, that 32 was lucky that all four wheels got back on the ground. He nearly flipped that thing over on the back straightaway. Looking to see who was our lucky dog driver. And it looks like it is going to be the one of Nick DeGroot. So the defending champion going around getting his lap back, albeit with less than 20 laps to go, but he will be restarting 22nd here. And let's not forget that DeGroot was battling at the time for a spot inside of the top 5 when his issue happened. Lost 3 laps on pit road, has taken him nearly 80 laps to get all of those 3 laps back. And now we'll see what he's going to be able to do here on, I'm going to say this final restart, but it may be these final couple of restarts.
Yeah, he's waited a long time to get back on the lead lap. We'll see if he's able to take advantage of the opportunity here. He's got a little bit of left rear damage, but I think he's still got some speed in that car to make some moves.
He ran well last week at Iowa, finishing top 5, 5th place. Moved him up in the standings from 23rd to 14th. And if he can at least get himself up into the top 10, I think he could move up into the top 10 in points as well. But he's going to have less than 15 laps to do it. We still haven't even gotten the 1 to green signal this time around. And when the pace car hits the line, it will be 15 laps to go. So we re-rack him again. Pablo Francis now the race leader with Gonzalez in second. Maleska the third has worked his way up to the 3rd position. Eric Schaus in 4th. Victor Santos now in 5th. Then it's Matt Wagner, Jim Herrick, Josh Garner, Charles Teed, and Covey Moore. That's going to be the top 10 when we go back green. Go a little bit further down the running order. We got Dylan Mauskowitz in 11th. David Leclerc there in 12th. Great run there for the 50 machine. He has struggled the last 2 weeks. Dropped 11 spots in the standings last week from what was 19th down to 30th. He's currently holding down 12th. Alexander Van Desant, AJ Hobson, and Benjamin Combs complete the top 15. Nicholas Winook, AJ Musselman, Gary Corley, Michael Spell, and Paul Jennings are the top 20. And the rest of the drivers on the lead lap right now, 21st and 22nd, Gail Brooks and Nick DeGroot. Update on Jimmy Drynan. He has officially taken his car back to the garage area, so he will finish 34th here tonight. So a lot of drivers right now look like they are going to be leaving Atlanta with the minimalist 5 points. Drivers like Eric Peterson, Jeff Hysong, Corey Lane, Jeffrey Duncan, Craig Forsyth, Krista Nelson, Todd Schneider, Bud Steele, and Joe McAdory, as well as the aforementioned Jimmy Drynan. But Nick, lights out atop the pace car. We're going to be going back green flag racing with 14 laps to go. Do we see these drivers make it green from this point on, or do we end up seeing some more late race restarts?
Man, I don't know. I mean, judging by the way everything's been going, I think these guys are going to be more aggressive than ever, than the whole race. And it's tough to say that it's going to go green. I don't think so, but it could happen. I'd be surprised.
Our 2 former winners from this season, trying to be the first multi-time winner in Season 3 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. Wagner, our Auto Club winner, is 6th. Charles Teed is in 9th, our winner last week from Iowa, but there's 8 other drivers inside the top 10. They're looking for their first win of the season as Pablo Francis back through the gears, takes the green flag. 14 to go here at Atlanta. The teammates 1-2. We'll see if they remain there by the time we come around to the checkered flag. Things rather spread out there on that restart, at least amongst the top 10.
Yeah, if anybody didn't want to see another restart, it's those top 2 teammates up there. They had a pretty good sizable gap on the field, and now it's just bringing the 91 right there with them, giving them another shot.
The 2 teammates going to go side by side. That's going to stifle them even more. Maleska the third, big run down the front straightaway, but where does he go? Top line is blocked. Bottom line is blocked. Now he looks to his left. Here comes Eric Schaus in the 72 looking for third place. Way up to the top, there goes the 91 of Maleska III, trying to get around Gonzalez for second place. Still Schaus trying to take third spot. Oh, maybe some contact there between the 11 and the 91, headed for turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like the 11 is trying to protect the top, help his teammate out a little bit. 91 trying to squeeze it in there. We'll see who's going to give here. Coming down the end of this thing, I don't know if anybody's going to give.
I mean, this isn't a super speedway race, and these aren't stock cars. That little bit of contact trying to do the proverbial door bang. These cars ultra sensitive, and it could have catastrophic results if one of those pieces of contact, one of those instances of contact goes horribly wrong. For the moment, it worked, though. Gonzalez was able to hold Maleska III off. He, in turn, is able to hold Eric Schaus back into that fourth spot. And as these four battle, here comes Victor Santos, here comes Matt Wagner. We could have a 6-car fight for this win as we now hit 10 laps to go.
These top 2 team cars are doing a great job of blocking both lanes. 11 cars keeping the dirty air on the 91. It's going to be tough for the 91 to make any moves on them if they keep doing what they're doing. But it's going to be interesting to see when it comes down to it. Is that 11 going to be willing to make any moves maybe on his teammate? Or are they just going to kind of ride it out 1-2?
Yeah, Gonzalez comes into this race of the 2 teammates in the better position points-wise. He's in a 2-way tie for 9th place. Meanwhile, the 22 of Francis mired down 29th in points. So certainly he could get the better benefit of the points for winning this race, whereas Gonzalez would keep himself inside of the top 10. But now, the 91 of Robert Maleska III has gotten to the inside of Gonzalez for second place. We'll see if he's going to be able to make a pass here, or will that 11 still be able to hold him off and help his teammate?
Tried the outside, the 11 wouldn't let it work, or wouldn't let it happen, so he's figured to try the inside. Doesn't look like it's going to work either. So we'll see what he's able to set it up again and take another shot at it.
I was wondering if maybe the 91 was going to be forced to try the inside line, but we saw him try it and was unsuccessful. So now, I think the advantage definitely goes to those 2 teammates there. Gonzalez has done a good job of taking away any advantage on the top or any advantage on the bottom that Maleska III could have, and we know the patience is going to start running out as well. He's been kind of talking about the 91. He's been kind of, allowing the 11 to block him here and there, but if a hole is open and he's able to keep it flat out through the corner, there's no doubt in my mind he is not going to lift when we get down to probably that final lap, as I think we've got traffic up ahead for these leaders to deal with as well, so that could be interesting.
Yeah, I got a lap car coming up. It'll be interesting to see if he helps the leaders out a little bit here, if he kind of takes one of the lanes. But yeah, the question is going to be, how long is that 11 willing to take the top line and kind of protect his teammate?
Tough break for the 57 of Jim Herrick. He is now on pit road. He is going to fall multiple laps down the closing stage of this one. And we were talking about David Leclerc, how he was en route for a top 15 finish. Not sure what happened to him, but the 50 looks like he is no longer in the race. DNFing currently in the 26th spot. It's up at the front, though. Here comes Maleska III. Back down to the inside on the 11 machine. He started on the pole for the first 3 races of the season, but he's still looking for his first trip to victory lane. He edged ahead there at the start-finish line. Can he clear here through 1 and 2?
This is the best position he's been in so far. It'll be interesting to see if he can clear. Oh, almost contact.
Close there between
Oh, more contact.
And he's now going to dive right down to the white line. He's going for the lead. The door was open. He stuck his foot in. Francis on the top side, though, trying to hold him off. It's 3 to go at Atlanta.
What a move. He got a run almost out of nowhere going into 3 there and just sent it down in there.
Oh, I wonder if they're even going to be able to make it back to the white flag as more contact, this time for the lead between the 22 and the 91. Somehow, Francis still edging ahead there going into the 3rd corner, as right now Maleska III trying to fight that tight condition as these drivers on 32-lap old tires here coming to the end of this race.
And these 2 battling side by side might give the 72 a shot at him here. We'll see. Oh, he's able to clear. 91 in the lead.
He did clear him there, did Maleska the third, but Francis back up on the top set again, trying to pinch the 91 down, and here comes Schaus. He's going to clear Gonzalez for third. He's got thoughts about this win. White flag in the air. All bets are off at this point. You've got what you've got. You either bring home the trophy or the steering wheel. Schaus now to the inside for second. Maybe a little contact there. Here comes Francis. Back up the top side.
Three wide
into three. Schaus on the bottom. Maleska in the middle. Francis on the top, getting the run, coming around to turn 4.
Oh, contact.
Second position. Into the catch fence goes Maleska the third, as well as Schaus, as Francis closes the deal and picks up the win here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
What a finish. Just a little bit of contact between the 91 and the 22, and it just, ended up hooking the 72, unfortunately, but
how often do we end up seeing a 3-wide battle off of turn 4 where the car on the extreme outside line ends up winning the battle to the start-finish line?
What, you had no idea going in turn 3 who was going to get back to the line first.
For a moment, it was Schaus that was ahead. Then for a moment, it was Francis. Looked like the one car, if all three had made it back to the line, that was not going to be in the hunt for that win was the 91 of Maleska the third in that middle line, because he was about half a car length back by the time they exit off of turn 4. But the heartbreak, really, if you think about it, for both Maleska the third and Schaus, because they made that contact, they would have finished second and third place if they kept it together. Maleska flipped across the line in 5th. Schaus was all the way back, finishing in 9th place. You see right there in your shot, that's your top 3. Francis won this race. Gonzalez got second, and Victor Santos in the 24 was able to snipe a podium position, finishing in 3rd place. As we'll look here at the finishing results, 4th place was Matt Wagner. Certainly a great run for him after the struggles of Iowa last week. We mentioned Maleska the third there in 5th. How about Covey Moore, another driver that really struggled in the first 2 races, 31st in points. He's going to get 6th, followed by Mauskowitz, last week's winner Teed, then Eric Schaus and Benjamin Combs completing the top 10. And really a lot of those positions inside the top 10 kind of shuffled up, with drivers darting left and right to avoid the flipping 91 and 72.
Yeah, a couple of big movers in the top 10, too. You got Victor Santos, finished 3rd, started 18th. Covey Moore started 14th, finished 6th. And Dylan in the 3 car, 17th, finished 7th. So a lot of guys were able to miss the wrecks and end up with strong finishes.
Talked about the struggles there in the closing stage of the race for David Leclerc. Like another driver that had an issue. I'm not sure really what happened to him as he finished off the lead lap was Alexander Van de Sant. Driver that benefited from those 2 drivers having issues was Nick de Groot. Spent most of this race off the lead lap after his issue up inside the top 5. He is going to be able to bring it home in 18th position. Now, I know obviously that's not the finish that he wanted to start this race, but when you consider the struggles he had and how long it took for him to get back on the lead lap, 18th is still a pretty good comeback run for the defending champ.
Yeah, I would consider that a win, being, it was lap 90 and he was still, or lap 80 and he was still, I think, 2 laps down at that point. So to finish on the lead lap, finish 18th after all that, I'd consider that a pretty solid finish.
Big thing we're going to have to keep an eye on going into Road America, though. 18th place, how many spots does that gain Nick de Groot in the point standings, as the defending champ is still trying to get himself up there into the championship hunt yet again, looking for back-to-back championships here in Season 3 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. But let's go down now to pit road and get some interviews with our top 3 finishers, and let's see if we can kick things off with the driver of the 24, Victor Santos. Hey, Victor, it's Nick and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Hey, hello, mate.
Man, what a battle there at the end. It was a lot of fun for us to watch, and you kind of had a front row seat of it as well, watching those guys go 3 wide into turn 1. When you saw the contact made, was there a thought in your head that maybe all 3 of them were wrecked, and you might be able to be the one to get that win in its closing stages from turn 4 to the start-finish line?
Yeah, man. I must say that my apologies for make 3 wide. I don't know what laps was, but I need to try it. I got the inside. I know is the most safe. So I got it, and I don't know what happened, man. And in the last lap, well, I had was so lucky, man. And the P3 finally. So I fight so hard for it.
Yeah, we saw you fight hard last week at Iowa, out in front for a good portion of that race, but an untimely caution put you back in traffic in the finish of that one. Here tonight, we saw when you guys took the checkered flag, you guys were on your 34th lap of that run, so very close on fuel, as we were aware for you guys there. So with the cautions coming out and everything, how difficult was it to time out when you were going to come down pit road to take on that final set of tires, plus fill the thing up with fuel and have that be your final time on pit road?
Well, the tires was I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. Sorry for my English. If someone can help me to translate a little bit into the Spanish, man.
Oh, you're perfectly fine there, Victor. Nick, you got any questions for our third place finisher?
No, just a solid day. Started 18th, finished third. How crazy was it driving up through there, missing the wrecks, and just staying out of trouble?
Victor, you still got us.
Sorry.
We just had Nick was asking you what it was like working your way through traffic, because we saw you kind of start mid-pack and finally find yourself up there at the front at the end. So how patient and methodical did you have to be?
Well, if you ask me about the traffic, the draft is so good, but the dirty eye is so fuck. So was so hard driving in the drive. I'm trying to get a clean air to drive. Well, it's so difficult. Did an overtake. So man, this Atlanta is the most fun track I play so long, man.
Well, congratulations on your second top 5 of the season there, Victor. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out or thank here tonight?
Thanks so much, man.
Let's see if we can now get our second place finisher here. The driver that I think probably had the toughest task here in the closing stages of this race, and that is the driver of the number 11 machine. I'm trying to see if we actually have him in here. That being Oscar Gonzalez, and it does not look like we have him here, so that's unfortunate. Looks like we'll go down to victory lane then, where our winner here tonight, Pablo Diaz Francis, is standing by. Hey, Pablo, it's Nick and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, copy.
Man, congratulations on your victory here tonight. We know that you struggled in the first 2 races this season, but to be able to go to victory lane here, gain a lot of points in the standings, how important was it for you here tonight, if not to win, at least to finish with a top 5?
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, as you said, that was really bad results in the first 2 races, and we focused on this one. We were doing really good on the practice, and I think we made a really good strategy to win the race. Yeah, here we are.
And I mean, it came down to that final lap. You guys were 3 wide through 3 and 4. And we'd seen here tonight a couple of cautions where a driver on the outside line getting pushed up into the wall and flipping into the catch fence. Well, you were on the extreme outside line of that 3 wide situation. So how much were you sweating there through 3 and 4, hoping they weren't going to wreck underneath you?
I'm still sweating, man. That was really close to the wall. That 3 wide in the last corner was really sick. But we made it. Unfortunate for Eric and Robert, but I think they still finished on the top 6, I think, or top 5, Robert. Yeah, that was so crazy. But last corner, last lap, you go full push.
You got any questions for our race winner?
I don't think so, man. Good drive. Congrats. It's fun watching you.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And thank you to my team, to Nicky Racing team, and Oscar can be here. Thank you, and congrats to him for that P2 also. and for Victor.
Well, that's Pablo Francis in victory lane here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congratulations there, Pablo. We look forward to seeing you carry this momentum over into the first road course race of the season next week at Road America. But congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Well, we knew, Nick, that Atlanta was going to be crazy here tonight, but I don't think we had pictured a three-wide situation for the lead in the final two corners coming to the checkered flag. No doubt about it, it delivered here tonight, but now these drivers are going to have to shift gears. We've been Speedway racing for the first 3 weeks. Now we're heading to the lefts and rights of Road America, so maybe drivers that struggled at these speedways, they're going to get a chance now to showcase what they can do, and we may see a couple newer faces up at the front that we've been used to seeing these first 3 weeks down around the top 15.
Yeah, all these leagues that I've been a part of, there always seems to be those 2 or 3 like road course aces, road course ringers, whatever you want to call them. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys come out of the blue and just show up at Road America and just dominate.
Going to be an interesting one for sure. We've had 3 races, 3 different race winners, and as mentioned, if you're going to move your way through the point standings, do it early. And Pablo Francis, who, as we mentioned, pretty much this entire broadcast came into this race mired down 29th in points. This is going to skyrocket him through the standings, as he will undoubtedly at least be knocking on the top 10, if not sitting comfortably in the top 15 heading into next week. His teammate there, Oscar Gonzalez, with a second place run, he'll still be in the top 10. And Victor Santos, who was 7th in points coming to this race, finishing podium, he's going to be up there probably inside of the top 5. Looking as well as to who could possibly be the new points leader, I think it's more than likely going to be the 99 of Matt Wagner, who last week, after the struggles of Iowa, lost the points lead. I think he's going to gain it back as Craig Forsyth finished multiple laps down. Alexander Van de Son finished a lap down late. George Anzaldo didn't make the race, and Charles Teed, while he did have a decent run in 8th place, he finished 4 positions behind Wagner and was only 1 point ahead of him coming into this race. So a lot of jostling and shuffling inside of the top 10 in points going into Road America next week. Should be a good one, but crazy race here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Nick, appreciate you joining me tonight for this one.
No, it's been a fun one. Been exciting to watch. Great finish. Pleasure being a part of it.
Thanks to everyone that tuned in here tonight as well. Hope you enjoyed our coverage from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pablo Diaz-Francis is your winner here tonight. Next week, we head to Road America, the first road course stop for Season 3 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. Hope you guys will join us for that, as the green flag will fly at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday night. But for Nick Massey, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in to another broadcast tonight, courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.